Lyon, France, November 1942. The Gestapo has a most wanted list. The top target? The Limping Lady. They don't know her real name. They don't know what she looks like. They just know she's the most dangerous Allied spy in France, and she walks with a limp. They've distributed her description to every checkpoint, every train station, every border crossing. Find the woman with the limp, arrest her, torture her, break the entire resistance network. What the Gestapo doesn't know is that their most wanted spy is walking past their checkpoints right now, disguised as an old peasant woman, herding goats, complaining about her arthritis. Her name is Virginia Hall, former Baltimore debutante, former State Department officer, current Office of Strategic Services operative. And yes, she has a prosthetic leg, lost it in a hunting accident before the war. The Nazis think her disability makes her easy to catch. She's about to prove them spectacularly wrong. Over the next 3 years, Virginia Hall will organize resistance networks, coordinate weapons drops, direct sabotage operations, and evade capture while the entire German intelligence apparatus hunts her. She'll save hundreds of Allied lives, destroy Nazi infrastructure, become the only civilian woman to receive the Distinguished Service Cross in World War II. All while walking on a wooden leg she calls Cuthbert. This is how one woman's weakness became her greatest weapon. 1940. France falls to Nazi Germany in 6 weeks. The speed of the collapse stuns everyone. Britain stands alone. The French resistance barely exists yet. German counterintelligence is efficient, ruthless. They're hunting anyone connected to Allied intelligence. This is where Virginia Hall enters the story. She's not your typical spy. She's an American socialite who speaks fluent French, German, and Italian. She wanted to join the Foreign Service, but they rejected her after her hunting accident. A woman with a prosthetic leg can't be a diplomat, they said. So she went to France anyway, drove ambulances during the German invasion. When France fell, she evacuated to London and joined Britain's Special Operations Executive, the SOE. The SOE's mission? Set Europe ablaze. Send agents into occupied territory to organize resistance, conduct sabotage, gather intelligence. They send Virginia to Lyon in 1941. Her cover, American journalist for the New York Post. Her real job, build a resistance network from scratch in Vichy, France. Lyon is dangerous territory. The Vichy government collaborates with the Nazis. The Gestapo operates freely. Informants are everywhere. One mistake, one person talking, and you're dead. Virginia starts recruiting. Carefully, slowly. She identifies trustworthy people, former military officers, railway workers, businessmen, people who hate the occupation enough to risk their lives. She sets up safe houses, establishes communication networks using coded messages in newspaper personal ads, coordinates with London for supply drops, arranges escape routes for downed Allied pilots. For over a year, she runs one of the most successful intelligence networks in France. Then, November 1942. The Allies invade North Africa. Germany responds by occupying all of France, including the formerly free Vichy zone. The Gestapo moves in. They've been building a file on the Limping Lady for months. They know she's in Lyon. They know she's American. They know about the limp. Virginia receives a warning from London. Get out now. The Gestapo is coming for you. She has 48 hours to escape. Virginia Hall knows the Gestapo is looking for a woman with a limp trying to flee to Spain. Every train station is being watched. Every road checkpoint is searching for her. They have dogs. They have informants. They have orders to shoot on sight if she resists. Most people in her situation would panic, try to hide in Lyon, or attempt a desperate dash for the Spanish border using forged papers. Virginia has a different idea, one her handlers in London call insane. She's going to walk to Spain, through the Pyrenees mountains, in winter, on a prosthetic leg. The Pyrenees are brutal even for experienced mountaineers with 2 working legs. Crossing in November means snow, ice, temperatures below freezing. The altitude makes every step agony. Border patrols shoot smugglers on sight. But Virginia understands something the Gestapo doesn't. They're looking for someone trying to blend in and sneak past checkpoints. They won't expect anyone to attempt the mountain crossing, especially not a woman with a wooden leg. Her prosthetic, Cuthbert, becomes central to her escape plan. Not despite the disability, but because of it. At checkpoints, people with obvious disabilities aren't suspicious. They're invisible. Who would suspect an old peasant woman with a bad leg of being a master spy? Virginia has already used this to her advantage dozens of times. Limping through German checkpoints while carrying microfilm. Playing up the arthritis while radio equipment is hidden in her luggage. Now she'll use it one more time, but first, she has to reach the mountains. She disguises herself as an elderly farmer, wears shabby clothes, practices hunching over to look older, emphasizes her limp to appear even more disabled than she is. The Gestapo is looking for Virginia Hall, confident American spy. They'll see Marie Monin, struggling peasant with bad joints. She joins a group of refugees heading toward the Spanish border. Travels by train part way. Walks when trains are too dangerous. Every checkpoint, she plays the harmless old woman. German soldiers barely look at her. Why would they? She's clearly too weak, too old, too crippled to be dangerous. She reaches the foothills of the Pyrenees. The smuggler who's supposed to guide her group takes one look at Virginia's limp and refuses. "You'll never make it. You'll slow us down. You'll die up there." Virginia smiles. "Then I'll die trying, because the Gestapo will definitely kill me if I stay." She crosses alone. Virginia has been preparing for this crossing without knowing it. Years of walking on Cuthbert taught her pain management, how to adjust her gait to preserve energy, how to recognize when the prosthetic socket is rubbing wrong before it causes serious damage, how to keep moving when every step is agony. She's also trained herself in tradecraft that proves useful in mountains, navigation without obvious map reading, memorizing terrain from aerial photos, moving silently, conserving energy for long-duration operations. Before she starts the climb, she makes careful preparations. She can't carry much. The prosthetic already affects her balance. Too much weight and she'll fall. So she packs only essentials. One change of warm clothes, minimal food, water, a compass hidden in her coat lining, emergency money sewn into the hem. She studies the route. There are smuggler paths, but German patrols know them. She'll have to use a different approach, slower, more dangerous, but unexpected. She also knows Cuthbert is both her advantage and her greatest vulnerability. The prosthetic socket rubs against her stump. In normal conditions, this causes blisters. In freezing mountain conditions, it could cause frostbite or infection that would kill her. She wraps the stump carefully. Extra padding. She'll need to check it every few hours during the crossing. Adjust the prosthetic. Prevent injury. The crossing will take 3 to 5 days depending on conditions. She'll have to travel at night when possible to avoid patrols, sleep in caves or snow shelters, ration her food carefully. Virginia sends one last coded message to London. "Cuthbert is being tiresome, but I can cope." Her handlers don't understand. They radio back, "If Cuthbert is tiresome, eliminate him." Virginia laughs. They think Cuthbert is a suspicious person. They don't know it's her leg. She doesn't bother explaining. She starts climbing. The climb is worse than Virginia expected. Day 1. She makes good progress through the foothills. The weather holds, cold but clear. She follows animal trails, stays off the main smuggler routes. Night 1. She shelters in a cave. Checks her stump. Already blistering despite the padding. She adjusts the prosthetic, treats the wounds as best she can. Sleeps in 2-hour intervals, waking to check for patrols. Day 2. Snow starts falling. The temperature drops. The prosthetic becomes harder to manage. Ice accumulates in the socket. Every step is like walking on broken glass. This is where Virginia's trick truly begins. She realizes she can use her disability as camouflage even here. If she encounters a patrol, her condition makes her look like a desperate refugee, not a trained intelligence operative. She practices her cover story. Old woman trying to reach her daughter in Spain. Got separated from a smuggler group. Lost. Scared. Harmless. Midday, day 2. She spots a German patrol below her position. 4 soldiers with dogs. They're checking the smuggler trails, looking for refugees and resistance fighters. The climb is worse than Virginia expected. Day 1. She makes good progress through the foothills. The weather holds, cold but clear. She follows animal trails, stays off the main smuggler routes. Night 1. She shelters in a cave. Checks her stump. Already blistering despite the padding. She adjusts the prosthetic, treats the wounds as best she can. Sleeps in 2-hour intervals, waking to check for patrols. Day 2. Snow starts falling. The temperature drops. The prosthetic becomes harder to manage. Ice accumulates in the socket. Every step is like walking on broken glass. This is where Virginia's trick truly begins. She realizes she can use her disability as camouflage even here. If she encounters a patrol, her condition makes her look like a desperate refugee, not a trained intelligence operative. She practices her cover story. Old woman trying to reach her daughter in Spain. Got separated from a smuggler group. Lost. Scared. Harmless. Midday, day 2. She spots a German patrol below her position. 4 soldiers with dogs. They're checking the smuggler trails, looking for refugees and resistance fighters. Virginia doesn't run. She can't run with Cuthbert. Instead, she does the opposite. She sits down in the snow, openly, starts crying, loud enough for them to hear. The soldiers investigate, find this old peasant woman, obviously crippled, sitting in the snow crying about her lost daughter. They don't see Virginia Hall, most wanted spy. They see exactly what she wants them to see. A harmless refugee who got in over her head. One soldier even offers her food, tells her to go back down the mountain before she freezes, doesn't even ask for papers. Virginia Hall escapes the Gestapo's most intensive manhunt of the war. The intelligence she brings out of France is invaluable. Names of resistance contacts, German troop positions, Vichy collaborators, safe houses, communication networks. Everything London needs to rebuild the networks the Gestapo is destroying. But Virginia isn't done. The SOE wants to send her to Britain for a desk job. She's too well known in France now. Too dangerous to go back. Virginia quits the SOE and joins the American Office of Strategic Services instead. The OSS doesn't know she's compromised. They train her and send her back to France in 1944. This time she goes in before D-Day, lands by boat in Brittany. New identity, new disguise. Now she's an old milkmaid named Marcel. For the next 9 months, Virginia runs intelligence networks in central France. She coordinates resistance activities, directs sabotage operations against German supply lines, calls in airstrikes, organizes weapons drops. She operates from a farm, literally milking cows as cover. The Gestapo has her description. They're still hunting the Limping Lady. She walks past their checkpoints dressed as a peasant. They never connect the limping milkmaid to their most wanted spy. Her networks help prepare for the D-Day invasion. After the landings, her resistance fighters cut German communications, destroyed bridges, ambushed reinforcements trying to reach Normandy. The Germans estimate her operations destroyed or delayed the equivalent of an entire German division. Thousands of enemy casualties. Critical infrastructure destroyed, all coordinated by one woman with a wooden leg, operating from a cow farm. When France is liberated, Virginia is there, still undercover, still working. The full extent of her operations remains classified for decades, but the results are clear. No other Allied spy accomplished more in occupied France. Not the famous male agents, not the special forces teams. One woman with a disability the Nazis thought made her harmless. She proved them catastrophically wrong. September 1945. President Harry Truman awards Virginia Hall the Distinguished Service Cross. She's the only civilian woman to receive it in World War II. The citation mentions her extraordinary heroism and coolness in the face of enemy fire. But the ceremony is quiet, private. Virginia's work is still classified. She doesn't want publicity anyway. She's already planning to join the newly formed Central Intelligence Agency. Virginia Hall becomes one of the CIA's first female operations officers. She works for the agency until 1966, always in the shadows, never seeking recognition. The Gestapo's file on the Limping Lady survives the war. Thousands of pages, hundreds of reports. They knew she was the most effective Allied spy in France. They had her description. They hunted her for years. They never caught her. Because Virginia understood something about disability that the Nazis couldn't comprehend. What looks like weakness can be your greatest strength if you're smart enough to use it. The prosthetic leg that got her rejected from the Foreign Service, that the Gestapo thought would make her easy to catch, that made her, obviously, unable to cross the Pyrenees, became her perfect disguise. Who suspects a limping old woman? Who watches the crippled milkmaid? Who thinks the peasant with arthritis is calling in airstrikes and coordinating resistance networks? Virginia Hall saved hundreds of Allied lives. Destroyed critical German infrastructure, organized intelligence networks that shaped the outcome of the war, all while walking on Cuthbert. Her legacy. Courage isn't about being perfect. It's about using what you have, working with what you've got, and refusing to accept that your weakness has to be weakness at all. Sometimes the thing that makes you different, that makes people underestimate you, is exactly what you need to accomplish the impossible. Virginia Hall proved it. One limping step at a time.